phrasing that is clear, and also you want to hear somebody paying attention to you, working with you. Interaction. Is there anything more that you can tell us about how do you feel, when there is interaction, when there's not? How do you know that?
In my case, I can sense it when you notice that someone is hearing what you're playing on the pumping, or where
you could say it in Spanish too.
como los puntos de resolución de tus ideas a veces sean los mismos o estén en contra, o eso, básicamente dicen una interacción entre el baterista y el baterista, ¿no?
Give me a quick translation. So I'm just saying.
No, about what the resolution points are.
Say it again?
Where are the resolution points are?
Where are the
phrases,
resolution
if they match or they are against each other.
All right.
That's what gathers from.
Well, there's a famous saying by Thelonious Monk when he said, make the drummer sound good. That's what he said to the soloist. He said to the soloist, make the drummer sound good. And maybe that's related to what you guys are talking about. Not that you need a soloist to make you sound good, but you don't want a soloist to get in the way of the group.
Also the
in the pocket?
Yeah.
No, it wasn't entering the groove.
No, no, it was cool. Yeah.
Bass.
I feel good. I always kind of struggle with this thing about places.
Where's the place of beat?
Yeah, like that's my big thing. I'm working.
What are you working on right now? What are you, just now when you're doing this?
Trying to hear. Trying to hear what he's playing in the cymbal and the overall feeling of the tempo.
Okay.
How it's hard to deal with that relation.
Are you pushing it? Are you on purpose? Maybe are you thinking about pushing it, or are you trying to be in the middle? Or
I'm trying to push it so it doesn't fall down.
okay.
I don't feel that I have much control yet over that.
I see. Okay. Who's playing the piano or the violin? By the way?
Nobody did.
Come on, man.
Oh, I do, you know,
Okay, this time let's all of our players listen to the bass. Okay. Pay attention to the bass. And play, I'll play it. Yeah, 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 we'll play it. Okay, here we go. Same thing. 1, 2. Horn players, don't play any eighth notes. Leave the eighth notes out of it. I just have an idea about this. No eighth notes. Just for now. Let's get rid of eighth notes. Just you can play quarter notes, half notes. You can syncopate, but don't play a bunch of eighth notes. I'm just curious how that's going to change things. 1, 2. Sounds good. Axel, you want to do the drum? Where's Axel? Want to play the drums? Can you swap on the drums? Good. Now, horn players, put yourself in the rhythm section. Don't be a soloist outside the rhythm section. You be the rhythm section. Everybody's in the rhythm section. Okay? So when you play a note, it has to move things forward. You have to be digging in with the drum. Dig in with the drum. Put a note somewhere where it's going to really matter, where it's going to move things. Don't think of yourself as somebody that's floating over the rhythm section, but be in contribute to the time. Make the time happen. Make the time happen. Make the drummer sound good. Who's playing guitar? Okay. And should we swap out the bass for it? Sure. Or we can have more than one bass player. Is there another bass? We could have two bass players. One, three. Okay, grab another bass. Okay, same thing. You know, there's something about those Fletcher Henderson things and those old Count Basie things where they were really, in English you say they're really bearing down on it, but they were really like pushing it. The horns especially were really pushing the tempo. I want the horns to think about actually leading. You guys act like you're in charge. Lead the tempo. Pull the drummer along. Okay, let's see what happens. 1, 2, drummer. I'm thinking we should move the key, but this is starting to sound really, really good. This is cool. I kind of feel like maybe we could use a little bit of this in the concert. Okay. One more time and we'll have some different soloists. Okay? Now, when you're the soloist, you have the same job. It's harder. You've got to make the groove. So if I ask you to solo, I want to see if it's possible. This is, to me, the hardest thing. I want to see if it's possible for you to solo with your first priority being the groove. Don't let go of it. Don't let that disappear. Don't get too preoccupied with having an idea or something like that. Just hit the groove. Ready? Same thing. Let's hear some really tasty riffs. And get loud on the riffs. Dig in. Force the drummer to respond to you. 1, 2, 5. step in and out of it. So jump in, riff, jump in, play on solo, but try to make it the same thing for you. Totally, yeah, totally. Now remember, I'm going to say it again because it's such a mysterious and intelligent thing that Thelonious Monk was quoted as saying, "Make the drummer sound good." That's your job. Make the drummer sound good. If you think about it, what it really means is make the drummer sound good to you by not doing a bunch of stuff that messes with your relationship to the drummer. Okay, so everybody, you're in and out of the riffs, soloing, step in, step out. You can be quiet for a minute if you want, jump back in, connect with the people around you, make up a little riff. Okay? Here we go. Oh, in fact, ask me how did that feel? So it's okay?
He says it's been a long time since he played with 2 days at the same time.
Oh,
So
okay.
he felt like he was flying with more power.
One more power. Is this interfering?
No.
Okay. You're the chief.
Yeah.
You can fight a lot. One, how did it sound up there?
Nice.
Was it good? Did you like it? Cool. Maybe we'll do a little bit of that in the house after this, right? Just moment, jump into it. Jump into it, jump out. Thank you, drummers. Okay, now. Cool. Have a seat or whatever you want. this is the last lecture of this workshop, and we basically have about maybe an hour, a little less than an hour. After the lecture, we're going to go to the Sala Argentina for our rehearsal. So everybody that's in the ensembles, be ready for that. And we have a lot of work to do. Yes, Ernest?
Can, do you think it's possible for the other people that are not in the ensemble to watch that?
Oh, yeah,
Se todo
Would be
quería
very
quedar
fast.
tiempo podía hacer Argentina. ¿Verdad?
definitely. Yes, please. Please. Come and you guys can tell us how to do. So maybe I have a couple of ideas of things I'd like to talk about, but I also wanted to, since it's the last lecture of this week, I wanted to ask, are there, what questions are there? Are there questions or maybe a topic that you want me to try to talk about? Yeah.
I have something I wanted to ask you yesterday night about expectations with other people's playing
Okay.
when you're improvising.
Yeah.
Like, how do you deal with that?
You mean if other people want you to play better?
Or what you are expecting, how to deal with your expectations or what the people you're playing with is in the moment or could be or your feeling and that.
I see. Yeah. Well, last night we did a concert at Virasoro with some very fine musicians. And yeah, that's one of those situations that I think you find yourself in a lot. Like you have one rehearsal, you meet some musicians, you don't know them at all. You meet them, you have one rehearsal, and then you have a concert. So I think I understand the question that you're asking, and I feel like I try not to have many expectations at all about how anybody else is going to play. But instead, I think maybe the smarter thing to do is listen to what they're doing and do your best to relate to the musicians that you're playing with. Because for example, last night we had one of my songs, where we had like a free improvised section, and then the drummer, Cuarto, brought in the section that had time. And he brought it in a little bit slower than I might have wanted it. And actually, I had this thought, like, is this going to work? You know, like, or should I stop and ask him to bring it in faster or something like that? But that's not a useful, none of those are a useful thought in the moment. The best thing is you have to just have fun and jump on it and see how you can make it work at the tempo that it is. And I think that's kind of similar to, I mean, that's the same story no matter who you're playing with, guitar player, bass player, flute player, whatever. When somebody else plays something, you have to take them at their word. You have to believe in what they are playing, and then you have to also believe in what you are playing. But maybe it's best to try not to have expectations because at the moment that's not going to be too useful for you. Probably better to, you guys know Kenny Wallison, drummer. Well, Kenny Wallison, I've been playing music for about, I hate to admit it, 30 years, 35 years or something. And we got involved in this concert something that was like completely different. What's going on here? So I said, no, it goes like this, E-D-D, E-D-D. He was like, yeah, it's cool, I got it. So I counted out the song again. And it was something completely, it wasn't even the same thing that was different. It was just a brand new thing. It was like, what is going on? And I had that sinking feeling. You know, I had that feeling. This is bad news. But then we finished the rehearsal, and then Kenny said to me, after the rehearsal, Kenny said, hey, I figured it out. I figured out how to play with that bass. I'm not going to name the name. I figured out how to play with that bass player. He said, you don't expect him to play the part. You just have to play with whatever he's playing. And this was like, this is in a situation where it's not that the guy was getting the part wrong. He just had no concept. There was no, he couldn't do anything that even resembled the part. But the concert came out great. And it was really like Kenny seeing that made the music work. So then Kenny realized that we had to have no expectation. No expectation even that the song was going to sound like the song. But just to go with what the bass player was doing. So that's kind of an extreme example. Next question. Are there any other questions or like a topic that you want me to talk about or you don't want to say anything? Yes.
I was thinking about the first day of your master class,
Yeah.
and then I realized it was. I mean, there's so many things to think about when you're improvising
Yes.
with other people. No? So the first day, for instance, you talked about how to relate the things that you play into your own personal experience of
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
So then today we talk about how to get to the groove, get into the groove, and yesterday we talk about harmony and stuff like that.
Yes.
So I would like to ask you if you feel you're thinking about all these things when you're playing with any other musician, or you seem to get in and out.
Right. That's a really good question. Here's my philosophy of it. When you're practicing, you want to work very hard at trying to. You want to find ways of practicing that where you're working on the very fundamentals of your playing, the very lowest level. Don't practice at the highest level. Always practice at the lowest level. Because you need to think of it as research. You need to do research. And you need to keep trying to go down and get deeper into the I don't know what you call it, the building blocks, or just like the foundation. And it's not always easy to see the foundation. You have to work hard at it. That's why when we were meeting earlier today, I made a suggestion like this. This goes even beyond that other stuff that we were talking about. But here's what I would recommend. Watch this. I'm going to make a fool of myself. It goes like this. Just like that, with the idea that, like, at the very basis of everything is the body. You've got a body. Your body is different than everybody else's body. It works in a different way. You have your own feeling in your body. You have the way that your hands move and the way that your mouth moves and everything. And so even if you have a lot of ideas and a lot of concepts thing is, like, everybody's body is different. Your sound is going to be different than everybody else. So like this idea, just like, I'm going to try to make a sound that my body wants to make. I'll make a sound with my body. I'm not going to think about what sound I want to make. I'm not going to have a concept. I'm not going to think about harmony. I'm just going to make a sound with my body. And the easiest way to do that is just to say, just do that, you know, like a grumpy old man, which I happen to be. and then use that sound. You don't have to use that sound, but use, what I really mean, I think, is use that emotion and put it on your instrument. I don't really want to make a sound like that. I don't want to say, on my instrument. But I do want to take the motion, like the ordinary motion of my body, and put that on the instrument. And it's going to be sloppy because I'm not going to be worried about where my fingers go or exactly the right embouchure or something like that. But I want to just get used to just being like a guy that says, I don't care what sound comes out or anything. I just want to put the body on the instrument. Like if you think about it, I think that's, for me, that might be about as low as I can get. That's about as low as I can get in terms of just like what's happening when I play music. There's a body and it's on an instrument. And then we can start from there. And so I think that a lot of what I've been trying to say in this class, I think you can say that it's in that direction. It's in that direction. The direction isn't let's get more and more sophisticated about our thinking, but it's let's find ways of connecting ourselves to the music. So anytime I have a thought about the music, I want to find a way to turn that into something physical that I can do. You know what I mean? Like I said, like we have that sheet that we looked at yesterday, have the 4-note groups, and I said, you know, okay, for me, there's one of those 4-note groups. I kind of like the sound that says like that. So now I'm going to say, like, okay, I like that, but I need to put myself in a situation where when I'm in the bandstand, I do not want to be thinking about, what was that nice thing that I remember that I'd like to hear? You know, oh yeah, it was A, B flat, and E flat. I can't afford that. There's by heart. It's different than remembering. It's different than memorizing. Then it's in the body. That's what they do. People used to learn. That's how people used to learn. Everything went into the body. It wasn't a matter of looking it up on Google or something like that. You had to know it in your body. You had to have access to it. You had to have access to it. It's not going to mean anything to you, and you're not going to be able to use it as a tool unless you have access to it. In order to have access to it, it has to be in your body. So, going back to that first day when I said, like, play until you have a feeling, play until you have a memory. One thing I want to do is I want to take, when I'm learning about, when I'm studying music, I don't want it to be something that I'm just thinking about. It has to be something that's like ordinary life. I was mentioning this thing in the lesson earlier today, that if you want to, you could just start talking, and if you want, you could just interrupt yourself by putting the instrument in your mouth, and then you would that's a pretty good way to connect something that's easy for us, which is talking, to something that often seems a little bit difficult, which is playing. It's easy to talk. For a while, I was doing solo concerts where I would just talk. And then while I was talking, I would interrupt myself with notes. I would just interrupt myself with the instrument in my mouth, like it would surprise me, so that I could just keep feeling like I was just myself, just like hanging out, speaking, and trying to make the music just be an ordinary part of that. You might want to try that with your friends, just get together and have a conversation. You know what I mean? Whether maybe your friends are musicians, but maybe they're not. Maybe you just like hang out and know where you're. Try to make it all part of the same thing. That's what we want, because everybody's life is very rich. Everybody has very deep life. And that's all the material that you need, is right there. That's all the material you need for being a great artist. It's just ordinary life, just like regular old experience. Because every moment of experience is actually very, very deep. That's everything you need. Feelings, body, messing around. But yeah, but I think the thing is, like, make sure that when you're on the bandstand, you're not thinking about anything. It's too late. It's too late. You can't fix it when you're on the bandstand. I think we've all experienced that. You know, you think, man, I got that great Charlie Parker lick that I really worked on in 12 keys, and when we get to that E flat chord, I think I'll play that Charlie Parker lick, and then it just never works. Even if you can do it, you feel like a fool. Charlie Parker can do that better. You know, so I think that's just one example of, like, when you're on the bandstand, there's so much fun that you can have. Listening, goofing around, trying something. You know, another thing we talked about today is like failing. Make sure that you fail. I think you should have a goal. You know what I mean by that? Well, if you fail, pretty soon you start to feel like it's kind of hard to fail. Because just aiming for something that's what it's all about. You know, and like, I think I can only think of one record that sounds perfect. Out of all the records I've ever heard, there's only one that sounds perfect. And if you really think about the music that you love, especially jazz music, especially improvised music, you don't love it because it sounds perfect. And you could probably, when you listen to it, you could probably hear the places where somebody tried to do something and it didn't work. That's cool. That's part of the sound. That's what we're aiming at. That's what we're trying. That's what we're doing. What we're doing is working with sound. You know, what record it is? I think it's to me sounds Coco by Charlie Parker. If you listen to that, it's perfect, and it's unbelievable too. It's unbelievable you can do that in the studio at that tempo, and it's perfect. But that's Charlie Parker, you know, and that's he only did that once. The rest of the time, even Charlie Parker, it sounds like, yeah, how did you know, like it's twisted around and there's a squeak, and somebody tries something, it doesn't quite work. That's cool. I think that's what we're trying to do here. Any other questions? I do want to introduce a practicing idea, if that's okay. And it goes like this. It's a very simple idea, and it has to do with playing in time. Well, it has to do with this. Playing in meter, but not in tempo. In other words, rubato. You're playing in meter, like in 4/4, let's say, but not in tempo. As a way to
What of the note? So there's a underline for 4, and you're not playing for 4.
yeah, you are playing 4/4. Yeah, no, very explicitly 4/4, let's say, if that's what your song is in. But not with a metronome. And this is just an idea that I think it might be a nice way to be able to develop melody, to develop your ability to improvise melodically. And the place I discovered it was by playing you know, I think what they call like blues for Alice. You know that song, Blues for Alice? It's a set of chord changes. It's 12-bar blues. That's complicated. It's a complicated 12-bar blues. And here's how I'm going to tap my foot so you can see what I'm doing. But it's really simple. I'm just going to try to play a melody. I'll use that chord progression, but you could use any chord progression. I'll tap my foot, but I'm going to allow myself to just stop the time if I get stuck. Because my idea is that my ear is sometimes not so fast. And maybe my ear will find the right note if I give it time. So exactly the right note. It was exactly the note that I wanted to play. But let's say, but I don't know if I could have played that nice, pretty melody that I just played if I was going like that. I might not, I mean, let's just say I couldn't do that. So what I do is, just for the sake of practicing, I let go of tempo.
You find your personal time inside you.
Well, that's my time. I was demonstrating it. So I know I'm in a place in the measure. You know what I mean? 1, 2, 3, 4. It's something. It could be something like that because I just need time. But I'm still in 4/4. Can you hear that? I don't know if that was.
Yes, sometimes I get.
Yeah, that's why I stopped. I was just like, what's happening? That's cool. It's like stopping a movie or something. That's it. Boom, start again. Okay, so I just wait until I can hear the note that I want to play next. And then I get back to my time. And I'm keeping the beat so I'm actually practicing something that strings. It's just not something got messed up in the speed of the movie that we're listening to or something like that. So this is a way that we can isolate the activity of making a melody that works with the harmony. We can isolate just that and take it away from the kind of pressure that's created when you try to play in time. Because almost everybody practices in time. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's cool. You have to be able to do that, obviously. But this is a way you can stretch time a little bit. You can get right back into a regular tempo if you're hearing it. But as soon as you're not hearing it, just stop. Wait for the note to come to you. And then when it does, you're still in the right place in the measure. I really recommend doing this. I really recommend doing this. It's made a big difference for me. And interestingly, after I started working on that, it also gave me a different kind of feeling about playing when there is tempo. That the time seemed to expand quite a bit, and time became a lot more flexible, even when there is tempo. Does everybody know that chord progression that I was just referencing? I'm playing a simplified version. Yeah, I'll tell you, it's a useful chord progression. My thing was to practice that in 12 keys every day. And there's a way that it's useful because here's how the chord progression goes. It has the 1 chord, and then basically it has 5 of the relative minor. Then you have the relative minor. In other words, 6 minor chord. Then you have 5 of 4. speaking of harmonic concepts, let me check the time. Okay. Has anybody thought about that thing that we talked about with the 5 chords, with the dominant chords? A note. You have a note, you have a given note. And your idea of what chord you're on keeps changing, but you always start on that note no matter what the chord is. Have people thought about that a little bit? Yeah, I know it's only been a couple of days, but I just want to make sure that maybe like that the idea is clear. The idea is clear. So that you can take that. Yeah, nothing wrong with that at all. Nothing wrong with that. Keep it simple. Keep it simple and do it in a way that reinforces for you what the chord is. Because you'll either be the note that you're starting on will either be an ordinary part of the chord or an unusual part of the chord. Right? If it's an ordinary part of the chord, maybe you want to then move to some more unusual notes. If it's an unusual note of the chord, maybe you need to reinforce it with some more regular notes, right?
I think it has to be maybe when I practice that with tension and release in a way.
Yes.
Because you can start like on a tension or on a
Yes.
release spot of the phrase,
Yes.
depending on the relationship.
Yes. Yes.
Besides that, then is the color.
Yes.
On top of that,
That's
the
right.
color. But
That's right. Yeah. And then partly the usefulness, I think, is just like starting on that, even if it's a weird note, like the note that you might not usually start on.
yeah,
If you're on a B7 chord, you might not usually start on a G, but now you're giving yourself the opportunity to hear that. So now it's like expanding. It's what you're up and it's expanding. I mean, another way to do that same thing would just be to play a note and just arpeggiate up and down on your instrument. Just think of some chord, and like I'll play. Okay. original music put together by the people that are playing it. None of it has been written down. It's all memorized, or almost memorized. It's going to be a unique combination of hard work and inspiration and amazing musicianship. I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be incredible. And honestly, when I had the idea to do it, I wasn't sure if it would work, but now I'm feeling like it's working. So that's cool. So if you haven't done so already, which I think a lot of people haven't, if you feel like it, send me an email. So I have your email address, and I can send you information how to get a couple of my records for free if you want that. So send me an email. I'll say my email address, ben.goldberg@gmail.com. Just send a note and then I can send you a note. How about that? Musicians, we will meet as soon as possible in the performing. Okay, so I know you can take a minute to get everything together. It's 3:30. Let's see if we can aim for 3:45. Maybe we do it. Okay, let's try to get started.
Por acá dentro vas y hay un acceso al escenario.